Hello everybody, I'm CJ Arlotta, Senior Editor at Hotel Business, and we've got your number. Sponsored by Best Western Hotels and Resorts, We've Got Your Number not only provides our industry with quarterly updates on some of the latest stats and figures from research firms, it also captures input from our industry's most well-respected analysts. Now, on to the numbers. According to a recently released HotStats report, ARR in Q3 increased by 2.1% year over year. During the same time period, RevPAR increased 1.4% year over year. And in Q3, occupancy decreased by 0.5% year over year. For additional analysis, I'm joined today by David Eisen, Director of Hotel Intelligence and Customer Solutions at HotStats. Thanks for speaking with us today, David.
CJ, great to be here. Thanks you for having me.
Let's take a deeper look at some of the key numbers from your firm's report. As we all know, one of the top issues in the industry today is labor costs. What can you tell us about the cost of labor in Q3?
So CJ, it's a great question. I would say this. In hotel development, as you know, we hear location, location, location. In operations, it's really labor, labor, labor. So this is not just a Q3 issue, but an ongoing issue that hoteliers have to keep a vigilant eye on. As you may know, unemployment is hovering below 4%. It's making it harder to find talent, a lower unemployment causing wages to rise, the so-called Phillips curve, which basically says lower unemployment leads to higher wages. So what we're seeing in Q3 and in other quarters is labor costs are up across the board. And as you know, they account for more than 40% of a hotel's operating expenses. So it's very important to keep an eye on them. So what we're seeing data-wise is rooms labor costs on a per available room basis are up 3.5% over the same time at Q3 last year. FMB labor costs are up 3.4% in the same period, and total labor costs on a per available room basis are up 3.4% at $87.22 per available room. So with those numbers, I'm not kind of a prognosticator and tell hoteliers what to do, but really they should be looking at cross-training and maybe adjusting for seasonality to kind of combat the impact of these rising costs.
Now, what can you tell us about FMB in Q3? How did FMB revenues fare?
So FMB is an interesting story. While I noted that FMB labor cost is up, FMB revenues are actually up year over year and costs are down. So while total FMB revenue in the period we are discussing is up 3.7%, while total FMB revenue as a percentage of total hotel revenue is up 0.4%. And on the cost side, food cost sales are actually down 0.8 percentage points, and beverage cost of sales were also down 0.1 percentage points. So either hoteliers are buying less premium vodka, making lighter pours, or raising prices on steak. Basically, in sum, total F&B revenue as a percentage of total revenue is up 0.4 percentage points, and F&B expenses as a percentage of total F&B revenue was down 0.1 percentage points. So that's what we saw in Q3.
David, now from the data your firm pulled from Q3, what surprised you the most?
So, CJ, I'll turn it around a little bit and say I'm not sure I'm surprised by anything really, as really Q3 followed the broader trends we have been seeing on a trailing 12-month basis. So really the big story is the same, continued expense creep and why hoteliers need to look beyond RevPAR to measure performance. And while the country is in recession now, we are seeing slowing ADR that could carry into 2019, probably will. So meanwhile, as noted, wages are accelerating and causing labor to be more expensive. And as we talked about before, labor could be as much as half of all operating expenses. So luckily, I would say U.S. inflation is trending down, or it's around the Fed's goal. But there's no doubt hoteliers need to stay vigilant on expenses and find ways to combat them.
David, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, CJ.
This wraps up this quarter's We've Got Your Number. Thanks for joining us.